That's informative voiceover.
All right, we are now live.
Hello to the tube of you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Keep
everybody.
keep calm
I'm-
and let
and
George do it.
And I'm monitoring the chat, so I have the stream up and I'm monitoring what's going on.
All right.
Look at you.
And we're also recording to my computer, so that's going.
Me. Okay. Good.
We do not have. Let's see. So it's me, Jason, you, Jim, and Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to send this out to Twitter. So give me just a second to get everything ready.
Okay.
Where's the lovely and talented Leslie? Why has she not shown up here?
They're probably out running errands.
Yeah, didn't they talk about having to go to the store or something today?
Yep.
Well, they went shopping, but I mean, for crying out loud, it's shopping.
Oh, hell, I forgot what I was going to pick. Oh, wait, never mind.
What did you pick?
Do we have any viewers yet, or are we just good?
My phone.
Oh,
Ouch. I'm glad this is happening in, like, winter time as opposed to having to be up here in the summertime. It's awful in the summertime because we have these, some animal cages that make this room kind of warm.
Or are
And
you inside or outside?
I'm inside, but I'm right next to an animal cage, which, because of its light and stuff, it generates heat. And if it were, warmer outside than what it is, if the house were warmer, it would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which is honestly a lot to do with why I haven't been using this mixer. Most of the time I've been on the show, coupled with me being flat out, honestly lazy.
Mm-hmm.
But and everything's pretty much in the best place. I don't feel like packing the microphone into the bedroom or something and then packing it back in here. It's annoying to deal with, so I don't just have it set up by my desk and have the pop filter attached so that I can just sit in here and go. And I do like this pop filter. It's been serving me pretty well.
I really like this Yeti mic. It's been a good microphone.
Yeah, because it survived a drop. Actually, it survived a couple drops. Not of my doing, by the way.
Uh-huh. I don't believe you.
Oh.
I had it sitting up on my desk. I had a really tall desk when I lived in the country. And I didn't realize that the USB cable, that I had never disconnected its USB cable because I was using it, and then I don't remember why I had to leave in a hurry, but I did. And I just had the cable connected, and one of my little cousins came into my room and I said, do not pull on that cable. Because they wanted to watch something, and they pulled on the cable and apparently almost got smacked in the head, and the mic had fallen down twice.
Oh. MagSafe for microphones.
Yeah, I know, right? I just heard thump, and I was like, oh, God.
Oh, God. Okay.
It wasn't
All right.
followed with, screams and cries or anything, so it didn't hit him, but...
Oh, man, now I can only hear you guys out of one ear. This is awesome.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
That sounds like a short.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so... All right.
Your quality just changed, too. That's interesting.
How bad is it? Because I'm... Ugh. Am I bad?
It's usable.
It's usable.
Okay, because I can only hear you guys out of one ear, and you're very quiet. So
It almost sounds like you're using AirPods now.
I have a big problem. Yeah, because I can only hear you out of one ear, but it's very quiet.
You either have a issue with your headphone jack or you've got an issue with those headphones, in which case I'd be trying to figure out how to contact Empow.
You got them off Amazon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let me. Oh my God, this is a nightmare.
Gotta love technical issues when you get started, right?
I know, right? I still think mine are caused by my Mac itself. I have some other things I can test with, but it's still annoying nonetheless.
Yeah.
Look, it's, what, 5 o'clock now?
Yep.
Do you need to change headphones, Taylor, or are you gonna try to run with those?
I don't really have any other suitable headphones that actually aren't worth some crap. These are my main pair. What I just did is I plugged it back into the other headphone jack, but I may have to go on it'll be fine. I'm probably gonna have to go on my Mac. I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna have to contact Empower because my headphones are not working at all.
Okay.
Michael, how much do you want projection? How much do you want me to pull it? Right. I mean, how loud am I if I'm talking like this?
You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, good. Then that's what I'll do.
Okay.
If what?
Actually, if you could, like, use your iPhone's microphone and then go to one end of your house and just leave your phone on the other end to shout.
Wow.
I could do that, but only if you'll drop your micro. Only if you'll go back onto your desk and
Crank the gain up and shout from downstairs, interrupting my girlfriend.
Oh my God.
Wow.
What were you gonna
All
say to
right.
me, Michael?
No, you should be fine.
Okay.
All right. So we are recording, and we are on YouTube. I sent out a tweet. We are good to go. I'm just checking to make sure we don't have anybody that's tried to join. And
What are you talking about, computer?
Michael, do you want to make me a co-host? I would be happy to check for people showing up.
sure. Actually, past this point, we don't want anybody else to.
You're not letting anybody in. Okay.
No.
Well, then lock the room and let's go.
Yep.
If they stay in the waiting room, we could let. We won't let them in, but they'll just have to sit in the waiting room.
Wow. So my Mac was fully charged. It is now at 84%, which is the amazing stellar battery life I get.
Wow.
Oh Lord.
Hey, it's 6 years old, so
True.
All right, folks. So the schedule is news section is going to be brief. Just going to talk about some of the and feel free to chime in. I'm going to some of the Cyber Monday, Black Friday kind of stuff.
Okay.
What I've seen. So if you've seen anything interesting, feel free to jump in.
Okay.
Then we'll go right into our main segment on security. I'm going to tell our story that happened this week and anything you guys want to add.
right.
Okay.
And also, if you guys find that you do stumble, I need to turn Do Not Disturb on. But if you find that you do like stumble over your words or whatever, you realize you've said something that you don't necessarily want to be in the show. Just if it's really bad, just pause, start over. If it's really long, just count in 3, 2, 1. It'll help editors
Okay.
fix a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
But don't be afraid to just say to just correct yourself and just
Yeah.
go with it.
But if
Make
you
it
really
as
get
natural as
lost and you
Okay.
find that you're really struggling, then
Okay.
Jason is, I think, saying this more to himself because
on
of
Do
the
Not
Jason
Disturb.
train.
Well, it's helping me because I've never been on a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm just messing around.
Okay. All right.
also that was
I
funny.
just had to readjust because All right. We should be good. I just had to readjust myself because there is some noise upstairs, so I just wanted to readjust. We're good.
All right.
Oh, crap.
What's up, Jason?
Because this headset has a microphone, and it's at a weird angle, so I can use this microphone. It touched my arm and scared the crap out of me.
It's not hard to do.
That's true, but it's still weird.
Yeah. All right. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 151 of the IACast. All right, with me this week, I have a new group of folks, except for this guy. First off, Jason Earls.
Hello, everyone.
We have Taylor Arndt.
Hello, everybody.
And Jim Barber.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so I hope everybody has had a good Thanksgiving. Jason? What did you guys do for Thanksgiving?
We didn't really do a lot for Thanksgiving. We had made some things, and we gave my girlfriend's mom and brother some stuff that we made, and then I had made a joke about pizza, and so it turned into me actually getting leftover pizza from the place that they had gone to because it was really good. It was called Magoo's, and so I had, the stuff we made plus pizza for Thanksgiving, and I was kind of okay with it. So it's pretty much what we did.
Taylor, did you get to spend any time with your family?
Yeah, so I went home since I live pretty close to my family. They picked me up, and I went. I left on Wednesday night, and I came back Thursday night because I had a lot of stuff to do, and I had some Black Friday shopping to do. So
Nice.
I did that, and I went back home to the apartment, and then I did some Black Friday shopping on Friday. Got some stuff, got some educational products, which I may talk about later. And yeah, so it was pretty good. Had some turkey, we had ham. So we did that. And then we also had some dessert. My sister made some cheesecake, and it was really good. So yeah, it was a fun gathering. We only had about 5 or 6 people because of the COVID restrictions in Michigan, but it was really fun regardless.
Nice. And what about you, Jim? Did y'all, your family or anybody do anything for Thanksgiving?
5 of my close friends and I gathered and ate enough food for about 15. Everyone cooked some stuff, and we Ubered or walked to one person's house and found out that we had tons of food. So we had an awesome Thanksgiving. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Nice. I spent Thanksgiving with my mother. She came and picked me up from the Houston area, so we all ate a lot of food, way too much food. And then on my birthday, I went to Olive Garden and ate again way too much food. And so it was a fun week. So it was a very different Thanksgiving, I'm sure, for everybody. But hopefully next year we will have a different situation that, is more familiar. But, to something that's a little more exciting. Did anybody buy any Black Friday deals? Jason, did you?
No, the only thing we really bought recently was a new toaster oven. Because, that's exciting. I wanted to buy some things, but, gotta watch what we're spending at the moment because of the restrictions and everything that's going on. So saw some great deals though.
Right. There's a lot.
I bought a pair of Beats headphones, which I'm looking forward to trying out. They arrived today, but I haven't played with them yet. That's all I've gotten.
And Taylor, did you buy anything interesting?
So yes, I bought some office equipment for my business. So I don't know if you call that interesting, but it's essential. More specifically, I bought a scanner because I needed a lot of papers scanned, and then I'll probably use Perspective AI, this awesome app, to recognize all of these paperwork. So yeah, I got it for a pretty good deal. And then I also bought some other products. Really nothing for myself per se, a lot more business oriented things. I didn't really need anything for myself, but I bought some other essentials for the business. But my main thing was some office equipment.
Also, free plug. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All I really bought, I was looking for a game that I'd seen some YouTube videos about. So Xbox is doing a huge, like 50 to 70% off sale on games. So I bought a a game for like $11 when it was usually like $30 or $40. So I'm
Nice.
like, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
And we'll share this in the show notes. But there is a new mod for Minecraft, the Java edition for Minecraft, that really has gone a long way to making Minecraft accessible. And it's basically somebody has made a mod that when you point your crosshairs at a block, it will read out using text to speech what you're looking at. That's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Does it rely on the screen reader to do that, or is it all self-voicing?
I think it is all self-voicing. It uses Microsoft Speech API. The demo showed it with I think it's David. Microsoft
Yeah,
David.
yeah, it's David.
Yeah.
And,
I saw the video as well, and it's pretty
yeah.
exciting.
It's really neat. I mean, person shared it on. It's on YouTube, so we'll have it on the show notes. Really exciting stuff. So yeah, that will be in the show notes, and it's really cool that we did a demo cast kind of talking about possibilities of making Minecraft accessible, and the person that did it did a lot of the things that was talked about, and it's just really cool that games in general, the Xbox One. I play a game called Phantasy Star Online 2. The game was made in like 2012, 2011. And so it does not work well with some of the Windows 10 features for, like, it takes over the mouse, which a lot of games don't do anymore. They rely on newer technologies. But since this game was so old, it didn't. And what's really neat is that on Xbox, they don't have that option. It's still Xbox One is Xbox One. So magnifier and narrator still work inside the game if it can get text for narrator. That's one thing, but for magnifier, for me, I can magnify that game whereas I can't in Windows. So the Switch has magnification support, and it's just really cool where we're going for gaming and accessibility. So I'm just really excited about that kind of stuff. So
I had another question about the about Minecraft, which is, you had mentioned to me privately before we had this conversation that there were problems with depth, and I was wondering how much those problems would get in the way of being able to do actual gameplay on Minecraft.
I think if you're totally blind, the problem is that, you would not be able to know how far you're going to fall, because there are, like, I'm playing on a map right now where you could just be walking and there's a chasm that if you fall down it, you will instantly die. And so I think that's one of the things that is being worked on. But this is a great start. But where this is really a benefit, and anybody can play Minecraft that's totally blind in this case, is creative mode, where you can't die. It allows you to be able to create these things without worrying about fall damage or monsters coming out and getting you. The creative mode will allow you to create whatever you want, and there's all kinds of worlds and different things. I actually, that was another thing I got. I got the they have a Star Wars mashup with Minecraft where you could actually walk through different places in Star Wars history, but Minecraft. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah, that actually sounds like it'd be really fun to play. And I agree. We are definitely living in a very interesting time in the gaming industry, and seeing some of the developments that are being made. Like, I think there's a company, and may have mentioned this on an earlier show, I don't remember, but I think they're called Naughty Dog, and they make The Last of Us games. And I guess The Last of Us 2 has really had a lot of thought and good implementations for accessibility. I haven't played it, but I have, read a lot of articles talking about it, and they seem to have a lot to say about it, and a lot of what I hear seems to be really good. So hopefully that will inspire, continue to inspire other developers to, keep up the efforts, keep up the thought, because all it's going to do is open up widen their gaming audience. So.
And there is talk in the chat that the creator of the accessible Minecraft mod is working on an NVDA add-on and does not like the self-voicing. So that's really cool.
Oh, that's cool. That is awesome.
So at this point, I want to go ahead and talk about something that Taylor mentioned earlier, and that is our app, Perspective AI. This is our ad part of our podcast. It's a segment where we talk about eye accessibility stuff, and I wanted to mention that it's still in beta. This app is an app that will let you scan text that's basically that you can see through your camera on your phone, and it will turn it into it'll OCR that text and make it to where your screen reader or whatever can read it. You could then save it, share it, or do whatever you want with the text. I will be adding PDF support probably today to the beta, and we will put the link to that in our show notes as well. So Perspective AI is a new app that I'm working on, and we are always looking for new beta testers. So please sign up, and we will build an awesome OCR app. We have a WhatsApp group where we even discuss ways to improve the app. We've talked about the PDF support in that group this weekend. So it's an awesome app. And really and truthfully, I don't make the OCR. Apple makes it. So it's using the Apple Vision framework, which really does an amazing job. And so the goal of this app is to bring your phone's perspective to you, the user, so that you can get the most from what your phone is showing you. So this technology is used in like VoiceOver, where it uses screen and image recognition, and it's also in the I believe some of this is in the camera app, where we'll recognize certain things. We want to bring face detection and all that stuff to Perspective AI. So it will be an amazing app once it's done. So on to our main topic for today, and I feel like this is something, we have topics that we bring up that keep coming up, and that is the topic of security. And I'll tell the story of what happened to us this week. One weak link can bring down anything, and I'll be curious if you, Jim, and Taylor, if you guys have anything that comes close to what I'm going to tell. But the story is that I was off this week. I was on vacation. And all of a sudden, Taylor lets me know on Monday, our server is down. And I'm like, okay, let's see what the problem is. So I go look, and there's nothing. The server's not responding. Nothing's going on. I'm like, okay, I'll go open up the Linode app on my phone and see what's going on. So I opened up the app, and I thought, okay, something's wrong with Linode. They're not showing me any Linodes. I thought, okay, let me just go on the website. No Linodes. Hold on. What's going on? And at this point, I'm sitting there in a sweat like, oh my God, what happened? So, long story short, somebody was able to gain access to my Linode account and was able to delete all of our Linodes. Every last one of them. And I don't remember this being there, but that now Linode does have two-factor authentication, so MFA. Which I had not seen before. Promptly, that has been turned on. But the truth of the matter is that if we've looked for attacks through our websites, our server. We had backups of our server on the server itself, and through Linode. They managed to get in and to break our security just by logging into my one Linode account. And what we think happened was we had our main domain renewed, and right as it renewed, we get this attack. So we think it was somebody trying to grab our domain and not being able to do so. Fortunately, Linode keeps backups of all of their Linodes that are deleted for a certain amount of time. So we were able to bring everything back online within hours. So it's just we even got some of our IPs back too. Not the main one we needed, unfortunately. So that's what made the restart process take a while. But there's so many ways that hackers can get into your systems. And this is just our story, but it goes even further. It could be your bank information. It could be it could be anything. It could be just your password to your work account or your school account. So, today's episode, we want to kind of talk about some good ways of staying secure. But before I do that, if y'all can share, if you have any stories that are as catastrophic as this, do you guys on the panel here have anything that has closely, happened to that magnitude?
Does it count if I did it to myself?
Sure.
No,
why not?
Actually, I've shared that story before. It was when I told my Mac to reformat itself. But, I actually today I was looking at my my WhatsApp security options and saw some interesting things. I've apparently had documents and photos and things set to download and automatically, and I had it set so that anyone could add me into a group. And so I've gone in and pretty much changed most of those options to contacts only. And I was trying to set a security pen to I would have to re-enter when I tried to authorize a new number to WhatsApp or authorize a new phone to WhatsApp, as opposed to it just doing it. That part I couldn't do, but it really got me thinking about my other accounts and security measures that I may or may not have in place on them. So
I have worked for large enterprise companies. I worked for Google and Yahoo and Qualcomm, and all of them I have gone through various security attacks. Luckily, I wasn't the primary person who had to lead the defense effort, but I've been one of the team players, and it's always chaotic and it's always scary, and it always feels like, what the hell is going on? Someone is trying to attack us, right? This is very disorienting kind of feeling, and all I can say is that being prepared for attacks. If you are someone who is managing websites or is managing a target, basically being prepared for attacks is very important. When we're talking about your personal data, following advice of security experts about not using the same password everywhere, storing your passwords in a management system, using two-factor authentication, being aware of the value of the information you have stored in various places, right? Like not storing valuable information like Google Docs are important things to do when you're talking about protecting your personal data.
Yeah, those are really good points, Jim. In terms of me, I've had a couple instances. My most recent one was I was on my last job. It was pretty much the day before I was going to depart. And basically, somebody had decided to get a hold of our email password. So, it wasn't as catastrophic as what we had happen earlier this week on the iAccessibility server. But still, you don't really want somebody to getting a hold of our work email account with all of our work data in them. And nothing really, thank goodness, I haven't really had anything with personal, but that's because my personal security, I follow a lot of best practices, two-factor authentication, unique passwords on each website, all of the best security measures so that way I can make sure that my personal data is safe. But regardless, even if it's a hack on, personal or work, it's not fun.
Right, and there's several ways that you can work with that and to secure what you have. And there's even a website where you could go and look and see before you even set a password. It's called Have I Been Pwned? And I know that my generic password that I've been using for years is one of the breached passwords. And so that means anything with a variant of that password has to be removed. And, I know a lot of people out there that do use generic passwords, even if they are, 8 characters. That used to be okay to use an 8-character password. It's not anymore. You have to use more complicated passwords. And that website, Have I Been Pwned, is amazing for finding out what passwords have been hacked. And I'm pretty sure that it's been managed or taken or ran by 1Password now, because I see their ads all over that website.
Yeah, I think so too. I've used it personally myself.
So that will be in the show notes, which brings me to a few apps that are wonderful. I really like 1Password. What password managers do you, Jason? Do you use a password manager?
At the risk of getting kicked off the show and screamed at and left bloodied and bruised in some random gutter, I because I'm in Apple's ecosystem most of the time, I tend to use Safaris, but I definitely do have some sites that I should go in and change my password, because I have used the same password in multiple places. And a lot of it stemmed from my Windows days and not knowing about password managers. And, that and a combination of just being too lazy to do anything about it, which is terrible. And I completely understand the risks, yet I do it anyway. But I really do need to start relying on things like that more.
In places where I use my personal passwords, I use 1Password. Actually, I should back up and say that a lot of my passwords are in fact kept in the iPhone Safari keychain. But I also have 1Password where I keep a lot of personal passwords. For enterprise level stuff that I have to worry about, I try very hard not to have passwords. I try very hard to use certificates and other things to avoid actually having things I need to type at a keyboard. Some places I use one-time passwords, which is where you have a device that generates a one-time password and it's synced up with, a piece of software running on the web server. And so you have a unique password and it has the same unique password and you can use that to log in. So I like 1Password as a personal organizational system, and I think it's pretty secure for that. But for enterprise level stuff, I try very hard to use certificates and other kinds of secrets that the server knows about, rather than things I have to write down or put somewhere and then go find in order to get in.
Yeah. So I started off using LastPass, which is another password manager, and I used that for, I would say, a year and a half. And I just recently switched to 1Password. And I'm going to quick give an overview, because we probably really haven't talked about, what these actually do. So with LastPass, I had the free version just because I really didn't know any better. At least I knew better to have a password manager. But that LastPass was the one that all of my friends recommended, my cited friends. And LastPass isn't horrible. It's pretty good. But in terms of accessibility, it has a little bit to be desired in some places. And so LastPass basically was my password manager of choice for about a year and a half. And then recently I just switched to 1Password. And I really like it because it's really easy to use and it's accessible. And yeah, it just works. And in terms of like my client passwords, and because I run my own business, I have 1Password Vault, which is basically a separate like area for storing passwords. So 1Password comes like with a personal vault, and then you can kind of make vaults. So that's kind of how I separate my different client stuff for the client passwords versus personal. That way, for example, I have some clients where I may have to get rid of the passwords if I am no longer working there. So I can just go through and get rid of them really quickly. So it's all about efficiency. And yeah, so 1Password is really great. And that is what I have been using for the past 2 months now, I'd say.
Isn't there a standard that like Google and Apple or somebody's working on that would allow you to use um, authentication methods of your device, sort of like one of those USB security keys to log into apps and websites? So like somebody might be able to use, say, Face ID on the iPhone in order to log into things. Has anybody heard of this?
I haven't.
No, I mean, it's similar to like how like Microsoft Authenticator just lets you. It says, "Do you want to authenticate, approve, or deny?" And Duo Security does similar things, but I don't know that there's anything that's replaced passwords with that yet.
Well, I don't think
Yes.
it's I don't think it's actually here yet, but I seem to remember reading something that it was being worked on or something. If I can find a link to it, I will definitely put it in the show notes because I personally would like having something like that.
I think that there are YubiKey emulators that people are working on to do this. And YubiKey is basically a authentication device that lives on a pen drive, and you plug it into your computer, and then the client on your computer reads the key, and it communicates some secret up to the server, and you can get in that way. And I suspect that they're working on putting stuff like that on your phone. I don't know. The problem always comes down to what happens if someone gets my phone. So until Apple was putting it in the secure vault, like where my credit cards and stuff live, I'm not going to feel very secure about it. So I think it's interesting research, but I think I'd be careful using it until I felt like the vendors had really adopted it and treated it, the way it needs to be treated.
Yeah, I mean, I use 1Password. I've really been using the iCloud keychain the most because it's just kind of there. It's built into the Mac. The problem is when you go between computers and you use Windows and you go back to the Mac, it's just I need to switch over to 1Password from iCloud. But the nice thing is both of these platforms generate 24-character passwords, and you don't even have to remember what they are as long as you can transfer that between platforms when you need it, right? That's the important key, is having that password when you need it, because some of those passwords you are not going to remember.
No.
And so it's great that we have these tools. It's just, are you going to have it available where you need it?
Yeah, and that's where something like Keepass, which is a open source keep password manager, where it's kind of like a local password manager where it's basically on your computer. That's great. It's pretty much the most secure option. However, it's not great if you need to be on your iPhone. For your iPhone and other devices, it is really bad because you have to find a way to sync your passwords, which may include using a cloud storage service like Dropbox or Google Drive to store all your passwords to bring it back and forth, which is just not ideal. I mean, you could put it on your web server, but then you have to make sure your website is secure. And that's just a lot more hard. Well, not a little more harder, but it's a lot harder for an average person. And if we're talking about having security for an average consumer, that the Keepass is just not ideal. There's also something called Bitwarden, same thing.
I think Taylor brings up a really good point here, which is there's a lot of quick and dirty analysis that people should do about how likely are they to be a target, right? How likely is someone to go after their pictures of their kids and other information that they have stored in the world, and how hard do they want to work to protect that? 24-character passwords almost certainly require one password or some other kind of password manager, which requires extra moving parts, which is something I'm willing to do because my career relies on it and I have data I really want to protect. But I think a lot of people aren't. And so there really is this need to find a middle ground of what do you do to kind of help people protect themselves without making it so overwhelming that they just sort of run away from it. And I really think, trying to have one password per site that has some kind of some kind of out heuristic that about. So, maybe it's the first three letters of the website and then your zip code when you were 8, or, other kinds of things like that you can do so that the passwords are not the same. I feel like it's one of the hardest things to do in the security space is to solve really difficult security problems for enterprise, but then come up with reasonable middle of the road solutions for most consumers that offer them a fair amount of protection and aren't too intimidating.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody has to figure out what works best for them. The one thing that we can all agree on and that's very important is make sure you have a strategy. Make sure you have a way of keeping your stuff secure. And I would even say, and y'all, I don't know if y'all agree with me, change it up every few months, every 3 to 6 months. I mean, I know on the enterprise level, we have to change our passwords, every, 90 days or whatever it is. So even at home, every 3 to 6 months is important, wouldn't y'all say?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm actually not a big fan of that. I mean, I've worked at enterprises that do it too. The problem is that if you're changing your password every 3 to 6 months, you're writing it down. Especially if you're not using it every day, because it changes too quickly for it to become cemented in your brain. And so if you're writing it down, then you're using hopefully you're doing it securely in a 1Password vault or something like that. I think it makes much more sense to pick strong, hard to crack passwords and then stick with them than it is to force people to change passwords. Now, of course, if your password has been hacked in some way, right? If you go to Have I Been Pwned and you see that your password has shown up, I think that's another way to kind of be prudent. Sorry, I interrupted you, Michael. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I totally agree with you because I have my work computer for my day job. I have my work computer. I have an iPhone, and so I also have for our website we have a password that has certain criteria. We have our computer login has a certain criteria that has to be met. And our iPhones have yet another criteria that have to be met. And each of those has to be changed every 90 days. And one time I locked myself out of my work iPhone because I just could not remember.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of why we see, and including myself, people using the same password on multiple websites, because eventually it gets to a point where you just can't keep up with it now. I mean, if you sit and think about how many things that we do online, whether it's essential, whether it's, for pleasure, entertainment, whether it's for, work, just how many online accounts we have to keep track of nowadays. And it's getting worse. It's not getting better. And so,
I mean, that's why we have things like 1Password and those kind of tools. But at the same time, what happens is a lot of folks that are, I could tell you, I have family members, they couldn't remember their 1Password master password if they had to keep one. And so they'd lose all their passwords, or they wouldn't be able to remember their iCloud account. And no matter what you do, it's becoming so complicated that you're going to see people not be able to remember, and they're going to be spending more time trying to recover their accounts. And so I think there's no, this is a way that you do this for everyone kind of a solution. It's really a find what works best for you, and change it up every now and then, and find out, and make sure that you stay unique, but also don't don't go overboard with it on the personal level. What do y'all agree?
Yeah. And something else to add too about password related things is that another tip, I guess I failed to mention this earlier. What you could also do is you could also write like a sentence, so like as a password or a common like a phrase that you may remember, so that way it's less hard to crack because it's a sentence rather than a string of characters like I don't know, password 123. Never ever use that password. But if you have like a sentence,
Ooh, can I
yeah.
use can I use can I use shut up Jason 1234?
Not really. I mean, but if you have like a sentence like for example, I don't know, Taylor asked Jason to to edit this podcast. I don't know, something really random, but just as another, if you could have like a sentence that you could remember, associate with each website, that could be another option for the common consumer. It's all what works for you.
One thing I like to
So
tell
my
people is
favorite wife. Oh, go ahead.
one of the
Go ahead,
things
Jim.
I like to tell people to do is to think of a secret. Just think of a secret that you keep to yourself, and then think about it in terms of like Taylor was saying, in terms of a sentence or two, and then take the first letter of the words of those sentences and put them all together, and then add a number to it, or I do not want to overcomplicate it, and I want to make it fun. So make it a puzzle, right? Think of a secret that you know about, and then do a little tweaking to it, and then the other thing that's really important is to come up with a way to make it unique to each website. So, like I said, the first 3 characters of the website's name or some other thing that you like. And I like making it fun for consumers. When we talk about 24 character passwords, when we talk about encryption, when we talk about all these things that just have a techie, inapproachable nature to them for a lot of people. And I like trying really hard to make it fun for them to figure out how to set passwords that are hard to break.
Yeah, I actually sold my Pixel book on a website, and I actually used a Safari suggested password on the website, and I had to enter it into Windows, and I hadn't really had a need to look at the password because, of course, when you when you use the suggested password, it's going to sync to all of your iCloud keychain devices. So, it would have been on my phone, it would have been on my iPad, and I would just, Face ID log in and everything. But it was really interesting to see what the password was, as I, of course, had to do the fun process of reading it character by character on my phone and enter it into Windows.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Oh man.
it was still interesting, though, nonetheless, to see what it had assigned me as a secure password. Now I cannot tell you at all what it was, but it's in my phone.
My favorite Wi-Fi password that I've ever seen, period, was somebody that I knew had the password, "Who ate all the cookies?"
Wow.
Wow.
I thought that was great, like, because it's long. Nobody would have probably thought of it. So, that's really what's important, is finding the best approach and what is relatable to you, because the one that I've used for years I thought was not going to be easily cracked, and it's finally been cracked. So and I even checked this week on Have I Been Pwned, and sure enough, it has been pwned.
Oh man.
So in that situation, you just find a new password and move on and do what you can. It's important to keep this stuff secure, because identity theft is not just somebody getting your ID card or stealing your wallet. It's now about your personal data online, what makes you your digital footprint. So all of those things are very important to keep in mind.
And it's interesting about things like credit card numbers, right? Because those are mostly outside your control, right? I mean, you can certainly lock down your storage of your credit card numbers, but if your credit card gets hacked, it's almost certainly because somebody's database got knocked over, and credit cards were taken from the database. And one way I have seen that I really like dealing with this is using one-time credit card numbers. I know there's a privacy.com is one company that does this, and there are probably others. And it's a way of you basically give them a debit card, and you have to sort of trust them to do the right thing with it. But they're pretty easily they're pretty easily audited, and then they will give you a credit card number that you can either use it one time, or you can pause it, and if you can use it when you need it, and then pause it when you don't need it, so no one else can charge to it. There are ways to do this that are securing credit card numbers, and this is happening because banks are getting really sick of having to carry the responsibility for credit cards getting hacked, which is what's happening now. And so I think for credit card numbers in particular, that is a really good solution. I think it's going to take off.
Yeah, that's cool. Even with email addresses, there are sites that I would prefer not to give my email address at. I think there's a site. We'll probably put this in the show notes if I get the right name here. It's tempmail.com or .org. And basically what it will do is it will generate you a random email address, so I don't know. One of the email addresses I got one time was like something at nigel.com or some random email address that the database comes up with. And so these are one-time email addresses, and you can use them, if there's websites that you prefer not to give your email address, you can use those instead too. So if you know that a site may not be secure and you don't want to hand that out, that could be another option too, is you could use that to secure an email address, especially if you really don't need an email address, they just ask for it. You can go to temp mail, have it generate, and you can copy it to clipboard and just, go for it.
Another option there, Apple has their sign in with Apple.
Oh, yeah, true.
And you can specify if you want to give your email address or if you want to give a fake email address or even a temporary email address. And I think they even have it where if you give them a fake email from Apple, they may even, if you specify they can send the email to you, they just won't know your email address. But Apple Card also, I believe, it does not show a full credit card number on that. You can generate one, I believe.
Okay.
But it does a lot of that as well, so that nobody can see your card number. Machines and terminals don't see it if you use the printed one. So I think Apple is going in that direction. I don't know if there's anything like that on the Android front, but
Well, I know Google Pay hides your. I think it's supposed to hide your card number and stuff too. When you
Google
make
Pay and
purchases
Apple Pay
things,
both
but-
hide your payment information, right? They both hide your payment information. What the Apple credit card does is just not to put the number on the card itself.
Right.
The number is stored in the chip. What these temporary credit card numbers do is they allow you to give a different credit card number to each vendor, and also to kind of manage them in a way that lets them, like, your credit card number can be charged anytime by anybody who happens to get the right number, right?
right.
But these temporary credit cards allow you to kind of pause or do other things so that you can't charge to them unless it's like, oh, okay, I have to pay my monthly bills, so we'll unpause it for a week, right? So I mean, they are adding some other things. Apple and Google may get into that game, but Apple and Google are trying very hard to instead just hide the credit card numbers from people who are taking your payments. The only thing about that is that since Apple for sure, and I'm guessing Google, are taking a cut of those payments somehow, right? They're making money on this. Not everyone is going to use them, right? They don't work well. For example, for I can use Apple Pay, I guess, to pay friends and family, but I'm gonna. But I think somehow I'm gonna stop.
Well, I think you can actually reset the number that it uses if you have an Apple Card. I think you can actually go in and tell it to make a new virtual card number. So,
is that true? Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
I was shocked that our soda machines at our center even have Apple Pay, and Square makes a reader for Apple Pay and Google Pay, so it's really awesome. All right. So, do you guys have any final comments on this topic? I think we've gone over a lot of great information this time.
I mean, I guess the only thing I could say is at the risk of sounding like Mad Eye Moody, constant vigilance. Look over your passwords and make sure that if you can turn on two-factor authentication, and that you do, and find if you don't have a solution, try do some research, and find one that works for you. Whether you use primarily iCloud Keychain or a password manager or whatever the solution may be, just find one, and it may be a little inconvenient, but it'll be more secure for you in the long run.
Yeah, and I would also, I think vigilance is good, and I think just being aware of where your valuable information is kept is good, right? I mean, I have websites that have usernames and passwords for no particular good reason, and I am perfectly happy to store away passwords on those sites. But websites that have my credit card information or my home address or other things I care a lot about, they get a different level of authentication for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's like I said, some sites are more risky than others. I know that in 1Password, there's a section that basically, if 1Password knows that a site uses two-factor authentication, it will alert you. And then there's also something called Watchtower, where if a password that that's in 1Password has got compromised, I believe it will notify you. I've never used this feature myself because it hasn't notified me, but I do know that it does exist in
Yeah,
1Password and LastPass.
I think Safari on the Mac and iOS will also do similar things
It
now.
does. And guess where they get their information from?
1Password.
No.
Or, well, have I been pwned?
Well, yeah, technically 1Password if they're. But yes, have I been pwned?
Right.
And I agree with all of that. I mean, it's, after our hack this week, we're going extra high on the security and even to all of the passwords. And I'm even adding two-factor authentication to WordPress. I'd like to find a way to do that with Microsoft Authenticator.
Yes.
You could do it. I know you could do it with Duo Security, which is a different app. But I'm looking for the Microsoft Authenticator route. But it's amazing, the options that we have for security, and we just have to use them, folks. We just have to make sure that we get out there and use this stuff, and it's just important, and that's why I wanted to share our story with what happened with us this week on this episode, and so that people could be aware of what can happen, and just make sure that you have contingency plans for if these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With all of that being said, let's wrap up on a better, happier note. Jason, where can people find you online, and what is your pick for this week?
So my pick, I just recently got the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I really like it. And I mean, it's actually interesting because it reminds me more of even though it's bigger, it reminds me more of like my iPhone 5S, my iPhone 4S, more so than the 11 line did because of the curved edges. It kind of feels like a really nice Android phone, sort of. And it's super fast. It's got great battery life. It's interesting seeing what my carrier's 5G network is like or isn't like in some places. But yeah, I'm enjoying this phone a lot. So good stuff. And as far as where people can find me online, you can find me producing content for iAccessibility. And as far as where people can find me online, you can find me producing content for iAccessibility. You can email me at jason@iaccessibility.net. You can search for me on Twitter at JDE, that is Juliet Delta Echo 91. I don't post much, but I do exist. And the same is true for Facebook, where you can search for Jason Earls. I do ask that if you add me to social media, that you let me know that you have found me from the IACast.
All right. And next up, Taylor, what is your pick for this week, and where can people find you online?
So my pick for the week is Perspective AI. It's really awesome. Like I said, there are certain, there's a lot of other apps out there that can do, sort of a perspective, the same concept. But here's the thing. Here's what differentiates, like I said, not trying to sound like an ad here, but here's what differentiates, the perspective is that it stays on your device. And well, why is that important? Well, we've been talking about security this whole time. And when we have paperwork, for example, like, LLC financial paperwork, I would prefer not that information, hopefully that would not get in the cloud. But the only problem is that some apps will put your stuff up in the cloud. So, it's like, well, I have all this information that I need to get. It's in an image or even a paper. How am I going to do it? Well, I like Perspective because it is all on device. And so I can make sure that my security is being followed because it's going to recognize on device. So I can scan the paper and have Perspective read it to me. And then I can kind of decide what I want to, do with it, have it recognize it. In terms of where you can find me online, you can hopefully find me producing content for iAccessibility. This is my first time on the podcast, and hopefully I will be back for more. And my email address is taylor at iaccessibility.net. You can also find me on Twitter. Again, I do not post very much at all, but that is Taylor, TaylorArndt _22. And Facebook is Taylor Arndt. Also, if you do find me through iAccessibility, please, like I said, send me a note. That way I know where you have found me from. And yeah, so that is kind of the pick and where you can find me online. And you could also go to my website, taylorarndt.com, to learn more about me.
Also, Taylor, you totally were a Perspective ad. It was freaking awesome. Just saying.
Okay, well, again, I'm not trying to be an advertisement. I mean, I also own my own business, but, that's not what the whole purpose of this is. But, again, when something is really great, it's really worth mentioning because, we're talking about security, and this is one of the best ways, making sure that your data doesn't go to places that it shouldn't.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I just have to give you a hard time. You know that.
Yeah.
All right. Jim, what about you? What's your pick, and where can people find you?
My pick for this week is I have a brand new iPad Pro 2020, the 11-inch. I really like it. It feels like a good size. The audio is really good. I'm enjoying the Magic Keyboard and trackpad that it came with. It is proving to be a very nice media consumption device, and also I'm using it to write some documentation. I didn't think I had a use for an iPad until I had one, and now I'm finding all kinds of uses for it. So I'm enjoying my new iPad. You can find me online on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at JBAR, at JBAR. I'm also on Facebook, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. The neat thing is, too, you could podcast. We moved to using Zoom and YouTube for our podcast, and you could, if you wanted to, you could plug up like a USB-C microphone right to that iPad and, have a splitter, or however you could hook up headphones or a headset with a mic, and it would do a great job at being a podcast recording or, that kind of thing device.
Nice.
That kind of thing device.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with the rest of this statement.
A media creation device, Michael?
Yes. Content creation device. That's
Content
what I was looking for.
I was going to say media creation device, like media creation Windows.
No, I think that kind of thing device is definitely more of an elegant way to say it. Like, I totally want to hear like Craig Federighi say that in an Apple keynote or something.
That'd be kind of but Apple does say some weird stuff like scrolls like butter. What is that?
I mean, it's butter.
It's butter. It's smooth.
It's just like scrolls like butter right in the middle of a keynote. Right? That was funny.
Does somebody put butter on their fingertip and just scroll it around like a prototype iPhone or something? Be like, yes, this feels like iOS scrolling right here. And then go make some toast.
That is, oh man.
No. Jason, you just had a You had you misspoke there. Make toast is actually an Android programming function, so that's kind of funny.
Oh,
Is it really, Michael?
Yes, there's
What?
when you have on Android, when you have messages that come up from the bottom of the screen, they're called toast events. And so the function to do that is called make toast.
What? That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, you can look it up.
I don't
All
know if I'll
right.
ever be able to eat cinnamon toast again. The same way.
Oh my god, I don't either.
Really a real thing. So, with all that being said, my pick for this week is a game that I haven't played much of, but it's really fun. I watched some gameplay on YouTube about it. It's a reboot of a franchise called Prey, and it's not made after a book. Totally different thing. And basically, it's on Xbox One. Basically, you're on a space station. They're running experiments with alien technology and fusing it with humans, and you're the manager of this whole project, and you lose your memories. They're doing all these tests, and aliens break out, and it's kind of like this eerie mind game trip through the space station. It's like a first-person shooter like I love, but it's also kind of messes with your mind. Kind of the story can go however you want, and it's just a really neat game. So that's my pick for this week. As for where people can find me online, you can find me producing content for iAccessibility. You can email me at Mike Doise. It's MikeDoise at iAccessibility.net. I'm Mike Doise on Twitter. If you want to find me on Facebook, I'm Michael Doise. You could also go to my website at michaeldoise.com. I'm all over the web. Just do a search for me, and that's. I even have a Tumblr blog that I have not updated in like 6 years. So,
Oh man.
but I'm all over the web. Just Google my name. And so, guys, I think this has been a great episode. I think we've shared a lot of good information. So we will be back again in 2 weeks for another episode of the IACast. And hopefully we'll have a much lighter topic to talk about, like maybe holiday tech. And maybe even, I think a cool topic coming up will be some accessible and neat holiday decorations that we can put up and that kind of thing. So we'll have to do that one here pretty soon. So we'll see you next time for another IACast episode. And I want to thank everybody that's been here on the stream, everybody in our chat, and everybody that will tune in through podcast and through YouTube. If you like our podcast, please subscribe to our channel. If you can, also turn on notifications and tap the all button so you know that when we go live and when we're streaming. So please join us again next time for our podcast, and we will have this up in a week on all the podcast places. So thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. And also, please do send toast, people. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Bye, guys.
Nice. Bye.
Bye, everyone. I do want toast now.
Someone muscle Jason.
What's up, Jim?
I said, someone muscle Jason. How'd it go? Did we suck?
Yeah, how'd we do?
It was great, guys.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Sorry, again, I was trying to stay still, but there was things going on in the background, so.
Right.
I didn't hear anything. I don't know if
Okay.
Michael did.
All right. Stream folks, we are going down. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next stream.
Later, YouTube.